Welcome back to the Milwaukee Show, and today we are talking and just kind of discussing and complaining and just kind of chatting. Just gonna put my feelings and thoughts and whatever about the Arizona Coyotes. I'm gonna take off my hat, and I'm not wearing anything else really. I'm not wearing any of my bands, nothing else, because I just want to talk to you. Because usually this is the Milwaukee Show, and I just talk big and make opinions or whatever. But this topic about the Coyotes leaving Arizona is it hasn't been like a lot of hockey, like a lot of Coyotes fans, a lot of my friends and family have it is devastated them, to say the least. Like all of them like just can't believe it's happening. And I mean, for me, I've been seeing the writing on the wall for however many years that they've been saying they're gonna move, the team's just done for, they're gonna bankrupt, whatever. So I've been like, knew this was just inevitable and incoming. And for me, I just kind of wanted to talk about it because the whole situation has bugged me and annoyed me about other like people, and then the actual situation I think is actually pretty good. So I'm just going to kind of ramble to you, not as the Hockey Show, just giving you opinions, but I'm just going to kind of talk as Owen, the guy who has gone through the Coyotes' developmental systems, a guy who has played in the same rinks that Austin Matthews and Matthew Nyes did, and just kind of talk as someone who has benefited without a team like the Coyotes, that someone like me and someone like Austin Matthews and Matthew Nyes and Tage Thompson, like, and just so many other hockey players, and Josh Doan, like, we wouldn't have these stories. The goal, like the Mike Smith goalie goal, and Shane Doan just being the player he was in that 2012 playoff run. Like, the Coyotes have had some of the most important, I mean, like, even like the Ovechkin goal where he's somehow falling on the ice, shooting backwards on his head to score a goal, or Rick Nash's amazing toe drag goal, and like so many, Mike Smith's goalie goal, and it's just, there's so many memorable moments about the Arizona Coyotes that have just been huge. And for me, it has been more than that. For me, I have gone to their rinks, right? And everything changed, because someone like me, when I was 12 years old, well, more 11, I was, and just younger, I didn't care about hockey. I just didn't have a care in the world. But my mom and my grandma watched hockey all the time, and I didn't care about it. But I finally just started watching it, and like finally like giving hockey a chance and watching it when they had it on TV, because I just wanted to watch, SpongeBob or whatever. And then finally I was like, well, you know what, this is kind of actually cool. And it was around the time when the Coyotes were starting their 2012 playoff run. And I got so into hockey, and I fell in love with the sport, that when the Coyotes finally made it to the Western Conference Finals against the Predators, I was taken to one of the games, and I actually made it onto Fox News. I was on there. I did a howl. I said, "Let's go Coyotes!" I was like waving my arm like this, and one day I'll put that clip on the channel just to have a little memory. Maybe I'll do it anyways. So, like, for me, ever since then, that run of that Stanley Cup has inspired me to become more invested into hockey. And for me, we didn't have a chance, right? Just to say, like, I was nowhere near any sort of hockey rink, and hockey's very expensive, and and I was kind of too old for most people to say to join it. And I mean, I never had like the biggest aspirations to make the NHL, but I wanted to play hockey, and it was the sport that I like to love. And when the Coyotes here in Arizona, if you're here in Arizona, you will know about this. If you're not, you probably don't. But they kind of like bought, I don't know if they owned the rinks, but they basically they became in charge of the local like polar ices. I don't know what they're called elsewhere. But the ice rinks here, the Coyotes kind of bought into them in Scottsdale and in Chandler, and they made them ice dens. And with those came new programs like called Little Howlers, which I joined, where it was basically like a super cheap, like, learn to play hockey. And I joined the team, and I started watching. I took my cousin's gear, who is a super great hockey player, and he's probably not watching this, so I don't need to say his name. But Charles, there he is. I got his gear. All of my gear was from his younger days. And I just kind of joined Little Howlers, and I was so much fun. And it was like I finally got to play hockey after years of never like thinking I had a chance because of the Coyotes. And because of the Coyotes, they also started other programs that I joined, and then especially the Development League, where I wish I had my jerseys here to show you them. But they've been in my previous videos, been from a year ago. And just because of the Coyotes, I got to be inspired, and I got to go to games, and I made it on the Jumbotron, and there's a video on the channel about me trying to become the host of the Coyotes games, and I tried, and they said no. Oh well. And yeah, like I've been so inspired in my path of what I want to do with my life, and just like with hockey, with this channel, and just kind of like just other avenues, because with this channel has given me ideas of what I want to do with my life. And to me, it's just, I don't know, it just bugs me a lot, because the Coyotes leaving, there's so many like back and forth, right, of idiots online, like here, where you're watching this, where people just thought the Coyotes should be moved, right? What the hell are they doing? They're a poverty franchise with they got no arena. The team's always sucked or whatever. Like, no one even likes hockey. It's the desert. How do they even play hockey in the desert? Why don't we have another team in Canada, right? But there's a reason, right? There's so many economic reasons of why there is not another team in Canada, right? People who propose that a place like Hamilton should have another team, a team like a city like Kingston, right? Well, here's the thing. Why would a team like the Toronto Maple Leafs, which is the most profitable team in the league, well, sort of, however, depending on what your definition of that word is, but the Maple Leafs being the most popular team in the league, why would they want to have a shared like fan base, local fan base, like within its boundaries, right? Why would a team like Toronto, even a team like Buffalo, where they're so close to them, want the Senators, right? No one that would be horrible for business, because that market already exists. The people in Kingston, the people in Hamilton, they already go to Toronto games, or they go to some other game. They're already fans of hockey. That adding a new rink there and adding a rival right next to Toronto and buying out of their money that they're going to get is never going to be approved. They will never like that. No team would want that. Adding a team in Quebec City is an interesting one. But they still have Montreal there, and the people in Quebec City are already fans of Montreal, so there really isn't a need to add a new Nordiques there, right? But it's not just that. People who want like them to relocate to somewhere like that, I get that, right? You want them to relocate to somewhere like Houston, sure. But here's the thing. Are you happy now, those people out there, that the Coyotes in the fifth largest the fifth largest city as in the Valley of Phoenix here in Arizona, that they went from playing in a super exciting Mullet Arena, which is right down the street, as I am at ASU, is right down the street from me, and everyone goes crazy for them, where currently ASU is one of the better and growing college hockey teams, where it is just where they are one of the most exciting teams in college hockey. Like, you have so much going for you, right? And then the development of guys like Austin Matthews and Tage Thompson and Couturier and Matthew Nyes and so many. I think there's another player that's coming out of Phoenix soon, and then just ASU also. Oh, Josh Doan. The Kachucks, like there's so many players in the league right now that can thank Arizona for being who they are. Sure, a guy like Keith Kachuk could have played on any team, but his team was Arizona. And now we have Matthew and Brady thanks to him and his career in Arizona. And there's just so much to be thankful for a place like for the Coyotes, right? Because a place like that has generated people like me, fans like me who want to grow the sport, people like me who are trying to get my friends to like hockey, and make a channel like this where we have a young guy who is in love with the sport and will forever and wants it to be a bigger thing and wants more people to like it. Well, how are you going to do that by growing it in a place that already has a fan base like Hamilton, or going to a dumb city like Salt Lake? That is not going to be the solution. So I hope everyone on the internet who is always so much against the Coyotes existing, basically, are happy now that they're moving to a boring capital city of Salt Lake. I have been to Salt Lake City. I don't care. I hate the place. It was one of the most boring cities on earth I have ever been to. I think I've been about like half of the leagues, or cities that they play in, and I guess now it's like maybe more than half because of Salt Lake City now being added to the roster. But it's just so many of these places here, like Phoenix, right? And I guess I'm biased, right? But here, like Phoenix, or in like Seattle, in Miami, where the Florida Panthers play, in Tampa Bay, in New York City. I mean, I just keep naming these places. Toronto, so much activity and liveliness. So like, there's art, there's culture, there's like a pride in being in your city. Salt Lake is one of the lamest places I've ever been. And Utah, as a city, as a state, is just one of the states of America that just nobody cares about. And it does surprise me that a place like Albuquerque doesn't have anything. And to me, I much rather would have a place like Albuquerque, right? Because Utah I think the population is 500,000. It's something like that. Might even be lesser than that, maybe a little bit more. But it is not one of the biggest capital cities. And you are leaving a potential cultural fan base of Arizona, where Arizona is such a hotbed and potential for a sport like hockey, where the whole joke about it is that it's just a sport white people like, right? That's just one big thing about it, right? Well, think about it. What is Arizona? Arizona is one of like the most like cultural hotbeds of like what separates a place like New York and Toronto to look at what we have here in Arizona, right on the border of Mexico. Such a mixed culture of like, even what is the design of the Coyotes right now, right? The Cachinas, right? What is that? Native American stuff. That the art, right? You have the art of that. You have Mexico right here. All of this culture, and you have so many a different breed of people here in Arizona. Then you get in like Toronto, where that fan base already exists. If you want to grow the league, all these people that want hockey to grow, but then they want another team to be moved to somewhere like to Quebec City is nuts. Then they're a giant hypocrite, right? And to me, we need to grow the sport of hockey. It is still the lowest of the top 4 sports, and it shouldn't be. Because as we know, as hockey fans, this is the greatest sport in the world. It is the fastest, it is the most entertaining, it is the hardest sport. It is the sport that has the best logos and designs, the best fan bases, and the most to get excited about. It is the best sport in the world. And I want everyone to be a fan of it, right? But instead, we'd rather just keep it in places that no one cares about. Move it to Salt Lake City, a city that no one cares. Even if I don't care if the franchise gets works there. I don't care if it becomes an exciting one of the maybe they win a Stanley Cup in their first year, right? I don't care, because it's not going to be growing the sport. Who cares? No one is going to bother with Salt Lake City. But could you imagine if in 5 years how the contingency is that the Arizona Coyotes can come back if they build a new arena? That expansion team, if they can re-expand, and how Arizona and Phoenix and Scottsdale and Tempe and all of the valley gather together, and when that expansion team hits in 5 years, and there are some big guys to take for grabs, and maybe a guy like Austin Matthews, that's when he pulls the plug and says, I'm moving to Arizona after Toronto's failed too many times. And he comes down, maybe they make a big trade to get Josh Stone to come back to the team, and they re-expand, and then they win the Stanley Cup in the first year. What's going to happen? What's going to happen in that giant multi-entertainment complex that they were saying they were going to build, right? They build that, and that arena is sold out every night for the playoffs in a whiteout, and the fans going crazy like they did in 2012. Because in Arizona, we have had a tough reputation when it comes to sports. We have all of the top, even 5 sports. We even have MLS here. And and our teams suck. No one cares about us. Let me rephrase that. Our sports have been miserable. The Diamondbacks have been pretty on and off when it comes to being great or just being pretty bad. The Cardinals were pretty good right recently, and most of the time, pretty whatever. The Suns have definitely gotten better very recently, but for most of my life I've been alive, they have been just a nothing franchise that no one cares about. And the Coyotes, I'm sure if you're watching this video and you made it this far, you know that it's about the same about the Coyotes. But what happens when these teams get a little bit of success going? Our arenas sell out. The Suns, look at how the resurgence they had like last season when we got so many of these good players. And the Arizona was just going crazy for how good the Suns were going. And the team and the state rallied behind them, right? And for the Cardinals, when they got pretty good recently, we showed up for the Cardinals. The Diamondbacks, same thing. And what happened in 2012 with the Coyotes? We just rallied for them in that whiteout, and it is some of the most exciting like if you want to go online, you want to go to a montage or something, a compilation on YouTube, and you watch a series between them and the what's it called, the Nashville Predators, right? When you watch that, and I was there for that goal, that when Ray Whitney scored that overtime goal, I was in attendance for that one. And that was probably the most exciting goal I will ever see in my life. And it is one of the most electrifying goals and fan reactions you will ever see. When Ray Whitney scored the goal, I think Verbato was on the ice. When they scored, it was insane. And I can still remember hearing it when I was like, I don't know how old I was then, like 8 or something like that. Even less than that. I don't know how old, but I can still hear like the ringing in my ear from how crazy the goal horn went and the fans going nuts, and I can still see the visual on the ice of them jumping up in the air and Whitney scoring that goal. For me, the Coyotes, they're going to re-expand here. They're going to come back, and I know this because the NHL, without officially saying it, has been obviously pushing to grow the sport and expand into other markets. And this, I think, with the Vegas Golden Knights, and then quickly after that, the Seattle Kraken, and now with the expansion to Utah, the NHL, without saying it, is obviously in full expand mode, right? And I think it's genius because now we have matched teams like NFL, like MLB, when it comes to how many teams we have. And now if we can move past them and move to a place before football does, like we did to Vegas, where Vegas is the Golden Knights have all of Vegas on their side. If we can move to a place like Utah right now, and the Jazz, I don't really know, to be completely honest, but I don't know how big the Jazz are there. But if they can go there, and Utah and especially Salt Lake are known to be more of like a nice vacation in the winter or whatever, that they can strike like those snowbirds and the people there with hockey and having an exciting sport like hockey there and get people to show up. And then we expand and bring back a team in Arizona with a brand like Coyotes 2.0, where the state is like wanting their vengeance and re-prop up their team, would be a huge marketing scheme that people like me would pay all of our money to come back and see those games and be back and buy up the merch and just be so excited that makes so much money off of it. And then they expand to a place like Atlanta, which they clearly have interest in, right? And then they expand to another place in Canada, right? I would say they probably move back to a place like Quebec, right? Because that's been asked for so many times. And then top the cake with going to Houston, a place that really deserves a hockey team. Because we need Texas. Look how good the Dallas Stars are. Look how just electric that fan base is when they're wearing the victory green, and Dallas is doing good. That is one of the biggest markets, and Houston next up is huge. And I think the NHL wants to do that, and I think that is the plan. The plan is to move to Utah because there is a wanting buyer in Ryan Smith, and he has bought it. He expressed like super much that he wanted to buy the team. He does it. There's a team up for sale. He buys the team. Then bring in the Coyotes. Coyotes come back. Then expand to Houston. Expand to Atlanta. And my guess is that over the next 10 years, is that the NHL's profound interest in expanding is that we will see 5 new teams. That's Utah, the second Coyotes, Houston, another place in Canada. I would guess it would be Quebec, but maybe they do somewhere like Hamilton, and then Atlanta. That would be my guess, is that it's those 5, or I don't know if I already... Houston, Arizona, Utah, Quebec City, Atlanta. Yeah. So that is my guess, is that they're going to make those 5 extra things, and then thing, the conferences would be out of division. I mean, be out of equality, whatever. I don't know. But I don't know what I'm really talking about anymore. I just kind of wanted to say just my thoughts. Because for me, the Coyotes are it does suck that they're gone. And it isn't failed because Arizona is not a hockey state. Arizona, with what has happened in the past, and places like Vegas, and places like Miami, and Tampa Bay, and Dallas, and even places like LA, why is hockey not a hockey state, right? Any place can be a hockey place because hockey is the greatest sport in the world. And for me, Arizona did not fail because the fans don't care about hockey, because hockey doesn't belong in the desert. It definitely does. The issue is that the Coyotes and fans, what do we buy money? What do we go to the store and buy, right? Things we like. We go to the store and I will buy a candy. I will go to the store and spend $3 on a bag of candy that I like because I want it, because it's good. Coyotes have never been good, and when they were, people couldn't stop paying them money. And when they're not doing good, no one cares. Take a look at the Sharks. No one cares. Take a look at some time like Winnipeg, right? There's Canada there. At the beginning of the season, nobody were going to the games. And it's the same with Coyotes, except it just kept going on for 20 years, and finally, there was no more money. And for me, that's really it. Arizona will come back, and I think with a resurgence of good management who can put together a good team, can make a huge profit here in Arizona and keep growing the league and keep bringing up players like Austin Matthews and people like me who just want the game to go on and make exciting videos that are more energetic and, to me, the best hockey videos that you can get on the internet. And that's what I'm trying to do. And that's what I think Arizona brings, is a new kind of fan. Because Arizona deserves a hockey team. Hockey belongs in the desert. And that's all I gotta say. So, if you've made it this far, which I doubt anyone really has, but if you have, please, I'm begging you, give me, please, out of the kindness of your heart, give a little bit of a donation to the subscribe button. And please subscribe out of the kindness for a grieving Coyotes fan. And until next time, too sweet, have an amazing day, and Utah sucks.